What's up, guys? Welcome back to TheJanticJournal. Today, motovox motor swap. We're going to get back into it a little bit. Just played around with it over the last few weeks. Didn't really do any work, just trying to figure out what I want to do. We got Scott, Paul, both here doing their own things. Let me show you what I got going on with the bike. So the first thing I tried was just raising the motor up on 1.5 blocks, front and back. And what I noticed was there was no room for the gas tank. It was totally hitting. And also the rear pulley was basically scraping the frame. So what I intend on doing now is, as you can see, there's a block in the back and not one in the front. I intend on having the motor leaned a little bit forward. It actually looks alright because the frame rail on this isn't parallel to the ground like the motor plate is. So I think what I'm going to do is cut the front of the motor plate down here, cut that weld, and just try bending it down and getting it parallel with the frame and welding it back up, and that should give me my angle. From what I read, about 15 degrees is good enough to run them. Any more and you're gonna have oiling issues, and we should be just about under 15 degrees, so should work out good.
It has been said that there is only one ruling class in America.
Got the front sliced right out, weld completely gone. I was thinking of a way to bend this with the front down. You know, that's like an 1/8 inch plate, you know, it's got a little bit of beef to it. And I think what I'm going to do is try to cut this. I'm going to at least try to cut the half of the top, you know, top of the weld down. And that should make it where it bends down easier. Then it might break off, and if it breaks off, I'll just have to weld it back. But I think that's going to be a good way to keep my metal in place up here and have my pivot point for the bend. Got the motor plate bent down, nice and parallel with those frame rails. It's pretty good. Tacked into the location for now. Got the paint wire brushed off. Comes off pretty easy on this. This is definitely a repaint. I think it's black originally, old motovox, but repainted red. And looks pretty ugly. I think I'm going to keep it ugly. I just want to get the mechanics sound on it and pretty much ride it, thrash it around, you know, do stupid stuff on it, so I know it's going to get wrecked anyways. Got a piece of 5/8 steel here. That's going to be my front support. Weld that up, and yeah, then we got to come up with the blocks to raise the motor up off of it. Welded up, didn't clean the paint nearly good enough, and terrible welds, but you know, for the size of it, the amount of weld that's actually there should be good. You can also see this peg is bent back. I want to show you guys a little trick as to how I'm going to try to straighten that out. Alright, so the trick here is pretty much get the biggest hammer you have in your toolbox and just hit it as hard as you can. And check it out. Mint. Alright, so here's what it looks like with the motor up on 1.5 blocks. Got a square block in front and in back. What's next is I'm going to drill holes. I think what I'm going to do is drill the hole all the way through to the motor plate, and then I'll have to drill slots in the motor plate. So, should be fun. Got my 2 blocks cut out. It's like a 3-inch wide spacing. I didn't get exact, but if you look on the PTO side of these motors, you know, it's an oblong hole, so you got a little bit to play with. This is just a Honda clone, by the way. No Predator. Now I got just a piece of flat stock lined up here. It fits perfect, 1-inch wide. Fits perfect between my sprocket adapter and my tire. So what that's going to do is give me a straight line on my motor mount. You cannot rely on either the slots cut or the edge of this as being parallel to your rear wheel. These things were just slapped together. So I'm at least going to get a parallel point from there, and then I can base off where I'm going to drill my slots for the motor blocks. Okay, looks like I got the chain pretty well lined up. Not too bad. So what I did was I took some marks into where the blocks sit on the motor plate here, and so yeah, I'm going to take them off and try to transpose the holes that I already have in them to the plate, and then I'm going to have to cut some slots. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that, but we'll see what happens. We got Paul over here. More seat action. More seat action.
I have no idea what to say on your fucking video.
That's good enough. That's good enough. The clamp looks straight enough for me.
Someday, somewhere.
Alright, we're going full selfie stick mode. I got the camera on the tripod. Got the holes laid out, punched in with the spring-loaded punch. I don't know what is that called? Spring-loaded punch. I'm just gonna drill them out. I got a really small drill bit here. It's under an 1/8 inch, and just gonna drill them out. And then, so I'm going to drill them on about 1 1/4 inch width, spread, I mean. And then, after I get them all done, I'm going to size them up all the way to the 3/8 to full size. And then, so I'll probably do 3 holes. Like, these are the center, basically. I'll probably do 3 holes. And then, I don't know, go in with a Dremel or something to turn them into a slot. So, up next is a bunch of drilling.
Works
good. Alright, we got all the holes drilled. Look at all the chips. So yeah, next I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. See, I got the 3 in back, just the 2 in front. I think that's all I'm gonna do. And I think I'm just gonna do it with a Dremel. It's gonna take a long time, but it's 1/8 inch steel. So probably get into it like that. We'll see. It's gonna take a while. I just hope they're lined up properly. Alright, let's see what we ended up with. Not too bad, not too bad. Took a lot longer than I thought. Pretty nasty looking grooves there, but they'll get cleaned up. You know, they're pretty jagged, but I went on the big side with them, you know. Definitely don't want to have to ream them out too much with the files, which is the next step. And yeah, you know, you're working that Dremel hard when you start smelling the fiberglass, you know. That thing was pushed to its limits, but yeah, it's done at least. Okay, got them filed up pretty good. I think that's gonna be good enough. Let's put it together and hope it fits.
Someday.
Here it is, final resting place. Pretty happy with it. I had to feed the bolts up from the bottom. That's the hardest part of this. They're about 2 inches long, so they can't feed in from the top. As you can see, there's overhang on the front and back of the motor. There's my block, 1.5 inch block. Thing is totally chewed up. You can see a slot there, and what was attempted to be a slot, but it walked away a little bit. Scott was doing that one for his bike a while ago, and that went into the scrap pile, and I picked it up out of the scrap pile. So lined up really good too. Everything worked out great, man. I'm really happy with this so far. It's so much easier doing this than making a chain tensioner, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is put the camera on the tripod, and I'll show you the fore and aft movement I have with this thing. Thing's sitting nice in the frame. So yeah, I just got the bolts, you know, barely even snug, probably hand tight. Just goes straight back and forth, no messing about. I would suspect I'm getting a good inch of travel, which is more than enough. You're always going to be able to get in between that with half links and stuff. I probably needed about 1/2 inch of travel. Lined up pretty well here, looking pretty good. I got the driven unit and the drive unit on the torque-a-verter, just sitting there for now. I got to get a bigger rear sprocket. That's a really small one. I think that's like a 40. I'm gonna go with a 54 tooth sprocket. Looking looking pretty good. What I'm going to have to do, and then probably going to call it quits on this bike for a little bit, is I have to cut the torque-a-verter cover just so it fits. It's a tight squeeze under here. So I got to cut the back out and also cut it for clearance for the chain. Not sure if I'm going to do that now. And then the exhaust. This is the exhaust that's used off of my Doodlebug frame. They used to fit perfect and go right out the back of the Doodlebug. This one's not going to. So I think I'm going to be able to cut the flange off and just change the angle of it. So hopefully that works out. Got everything cut, ground. It's alright. Just going to try to set around the hole. You know, this isn't a performance motor, it's bone stock. Just going to set it on there, come up with the contour to the frame I want. Give it a tap. And, you know, I'm going to check it and make sure that it lines up pretty good, that I'm not like half through the hole, you know, make sure I got good exhaust flow. So I'm going to take it off, probably give it another tap, take it off and see what it looks like. Got the exhaust welded up for the bike. Clearly no Jesse James. I don't even have an English wheel. But as you can see, they're pretty, you know, pretty concentric. So that's what we're looking for. And let's see what kind of angle we're gonna get here. Yeah, something like that. It's gonna look a lot like Joey's bike. It's a stock manifold, or not stock, but it's an off-the-shelf manifold. And you know, isn't designed to fit every bike. But it's gonna terminate down in a way, so should be pretty good. All right, we're getting there. I think this is gonna do it for the video. I got the cover done up nice. You know, I just cut it. No need to really show what that is. It's pretty self-explanatory. Got the muffler on there. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Seat is next thing to be done. I'm not going to cover that. We've just been doing it to death. As you can see, Paul's over here doing some seat.
Take two.
Yeah.
Take two.
So yeah, we're pretty much done with the seats. But yeah, that's going to do it for this. You know, look forward to riding it. You'll be seeing it pretty soon. Hopefully the weather's finally breaking out there. So until next time, catch you guys. Jantic Journal.